So before we get started with this review, I just want to let everyone know One Piece Film Z is out in Japan right now. For those that keep messaging me, when are we going to get it? We won't see this movie for like maybe 6 months or more, because what happens is basically it's out in theaters in Japan, but it won't come out on DVD Blu-ray in Japan until like roughly 6-7 months, and then it makes its way to the internet, then it gets subtitled, so it takes a long time for us to get our hands on it. Unfortunately, to be honest with you, I've been down because I've been wanting to see this movie and it's out, and it's impossible for me to see it unless I'm in Japan, and unfortunately, as bad as I wanted to go, it was too short notice because I didn't plan in advance, so I couldn't go to see the movie in Japan, but yeah, whatever, we'll get it eventually, and I can't wait to see it, but nonetheless, it is definitely going to be one way or another coming over here within a year, so look forward to that. This episode in particular, basically, it was a pretty cool episode because we actually got to see like Luffy and Zoro teaming up against Momonga and Shuzou. And one of the things we learned about Shuzou is he's kind of bitter and butthurt that basically he wanted to be Z. He wanted to be Z's assistant or, sidekick or whatever, and he lost to Ainz. So we kind of get a little backstory on him. That's pretty cool. We get backstory on a villain that's in a quote-unquote filler arc or a special. So that's pretty interesting as well. We get to see Ainz in action a little bit. And I really like that little backstory scene where they were fighting, to be honest with you. But, we got some awesome action with Luffy and Zoro versus Momonga and Shuzou. Then we also got that backstory. And all around, it was pretty cool. I wish they didn't escape like that, but judging from the title of the next episode, Luffy's going to fight Shuzou, I'm guessing, because the next episode is, I believe, entitled Luffy versus Shuzou. But either way, still, this episode was pretty cool. I like the battles. Animation was a little wonky here. They're I forget exactly what it was. I think it was Shuzou was throwing punches or something, and the animation was real weird when he was moving his head, and when Luffy was blocking or dodging, it was a little weird, so it wasn't the best animation, but still nonetheless cool to see. And once again, brings up the question of, is Zoro at Vice Admiral level? I don't want to spoil things of what happens in the manga, but judging from how some other characters that were on par with Zoro at one given point seemingly might be on there, so it's a possibility that Zoro might be on Vice Admiral level. Same thing with Luffy as well. But this episode is definitely interesting to see that. Will it be considered canon? I mean, it looks as though it had to be approved by Oda because, again, Film Z is supposed to be worked into the continuity somewhere of the story, and if this is building up to Film Z, you even got Z in this episode, which was a very short cameo, but we got to see him. That was pretty cool. We see real close-up of his face with the shades, and then a kind of far away shot as well. That was pretty cool. And nonetheless, it was a pretty cool episode. I really enjoyed the battles. That's really what really drove this episode for me, was definitely the battles and seeing Luffy just dying to get his hands on that food that Lily's father can make. Lily's father is kind of weird because he doesn't really say much up until it's time he wants to make that food for Luffy. So he came off a little bit weird to me. He's doesn't say anything the entire time until it's I'll make some food for this guy. It's my honor. So yeah, that's pretty much episode in a nutshell. Pretty cool battles. I like to see that. I wish they would have finished because it would have been awesome to see who would have won between Zoro and Momonga. That probably was more interesting to me than Luffy versus Shuzou, because as cool as Shuzou is, Momonga is actually part of the entire story. He's a freaking Vice Admiral, so I really would have loved to see a conclusion to that battle, but I'm sure they can't touch it too much because Oda probably has some plans. And nonetheless, yeah, pretty awesome episode. Let me know what you think of it. Are you bummed that you didn't get to see Film Z today? Because I feel as fans, since One Piece isn't big over here, we won't get probably ever simultaneous release of One Piece in America with Japan. I feel like we're a little bit excluded because I would love to be able to go and, get my copy of the Film Z book, volume 1000, and, just so much craziness I was looking on Amazon and eBay, and I just feel a little bit excluded from the fandom overall because of, since we're in all different parts of the world and we're not in Japan, but I guess we got to roll with the punches as One Piece fans, but we still stand strong, and that's what I love about us One Piece fans. We're all together in it, regardless of where we are, and even though we can't see this movie, eventually we'll be able to enjoy it and discuss it, and yeah, that's all I really have to say. Thumbs up for wanting to see Film Z, and just some pretty cool battles in this episode. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.